Broadcasting and streaming worldwide from the Golf Club studios, it's the Golf Club Radio Show with Danielle Tucker.
I just want to say happy Valentine's Day. Have a wonderful day. And if you're taking your loved one out to play a round of golf, take them shopping for a new outfit first. Okay, everybody. Aloha. We're going to come back and talk with Craig Foster. We're continuing our short game series about how to get dynamic alignment. DynAlign. My name is Danielle Tucker. This is the Golf Club.
Stay tuned. We'll be hitting the greens with Danielle Tucker when we return to the Golf Club. Here's the local rule sign. Keep it in the fairway. It speeds up play. Now, back to Danielle Tucker.
Now, let's get straight to DynAlign. Welcome back into the clubhouse, Craig Foster.
Good morning, Danielle. It's great to speak with you again.
Good morning. The founder of DynAlign, a pre-shot alignment technique that can help you square the club face that impact whether you're putting, chipping, or full shot. You can find Craig Foster at DynAlign.com or at secretinthedirt.com. Secretinthedirt.com is something that Steve Elkington, champion, who is on the Champions Tour now, created. And Steve follows Craig Foster's. How do you just develop this? You came up with this process of getting the mechanics of the body, the bones of the body, to get into the position that you want to be in to take that alignment. That's kind of like your pre-shot alignment routine.
Yes, and it developed because in my younger years I had yips. And not unlike a lot of people when they're having problems with golf, they're trying to figure out something. And it was something that Karsten Solheim got started on. He had problems putting, so he tried to figure out something to make putting better. And we all know what developed out of Karsten's problems. And Karsten actually helped me years ago get a patent for a short game trainer that I developed. And so that's what it developed. DynAlign developed out of a cure for the yips, and it touched on something that Rex Hoggard mentioned earlier, and Dr. Joe also in the setup. But Rex mentioned the kinetic chain. What we have a lot of movable parts in the wrist, elbows, and shoulder joints, and so when we're going to put those in motion, if we don't prepare those, they can go a lot of different ways. You have your wrists are kind of like little gimbal joints, and they can just spin around. And when you connect them with the putter, if you don't prepare them for motion, they can go a lot of ways and throw your putter offline. So what DynAlign does, it's dynamic pre-shot alignment, and it uses dynamic motion. We add a little bit of torque to the system, to these joints in the elbows, wrists, and shoulders, so that we get a more predictable arc putting stroke. It's similar to aiming a bow and arrow. And when you aim the bow and the arrow, you don't make your final alignment until you stretch the bow and add some force to the system. If you just aim the arrow without pulling back the string, then when you pull back the string, there's all this force added to the system that can throw your alignment off. So that's what we do in DynAlign. We put a little bit of torque into the system to prepare those joints to move in a real predictable way, and it works. I had yips when I was younger, and now I can putt upside down, left-handed. I like putting with the wedge. A lot of times you have to putt with a wedge through the frog hair or something, and DynAlign prepares you to do all that. And one thing you mentioned about squaring the club face. Now, squaring the club face is not something in the full swing. It's a little different because that's all. Now that we've had TrackMan and we know what the ball flight laws are, you're controlling the club face in relation to the swing path, and it's not necessarily the target line. So that's something that has to be cleared up. But in putting and chipping, we are squaring up the club face to the target line. So without doing this preparation, you can't really aim your putter effectively. When you put it down on the line with all these movable parts, it's difficult to expect that you're going to be in that position at impact.
Now, when you talk about the aid, you developed an aid to help you with this.
Well, that was separate. Now, that was a distance controller. It's called the Right Touch. It's a golf ball that fits onto the handle of the putter, and you hold it in your hand, and it's a kinesthetic trainer for distance control. You know, when you play catch with someone and toss a ball back and forth, you've got the ball in your hand, and you sense that mass. Your neurosensory system senses that mass, and that's helpful in determining how much force you're going to put into the stroke. So this is more for force regulation through the stroke. And DynAlign prepares you to make that motion, and then the trainer helps you sense how much force you want to put into the stroke. They're two separate things.
Okay, no, but it's important because, you know, what you're talking about, a technique that's not talked about often. And, you know, it's hard, as you mentioned, it's hard to get something new introduced into that may go against traditional or conventional wisdom.
Yes,
into
very
mainstream.
difficult. You know, in fact, now the conventional wisdom is now to take the hands out of the putting stroke. You hear that all the time. Well, that makes about as much sense as taking the GPS out of your smartphone. You know, your hands are the most sensitive, and your dominant hand is the most sensitive part of your body for force control regulation. And in putting, that's distance, putting and chipping, it's distance control. So DynAlign allows you to use your dominant hand without throwing the stroke offline. You know, if you don't do dynamic alignment, if you start getting your hands involved, you're going to throw your alignment off. And so that's why people don't want to put the hands in the stroke, because they're afraid to throw the stroke offline. But once you go through DynAlign, you really lock things down. I mean, it's not locked down to a hard end range. We go to a soft end range on this range of motion in our joints, so that then we can add force and apply force to the stroke and not worry about it going offline. So the big advantage of that is when you're in your putting stroke, you don't have to think as much about your alignment. You can trust your alignment. Your stroke is really on a track, so you can focus on distance control. Because if you're putting and you're trying to think of your alignment and your distance control at the same time, that's two things, and your mind can really get confused quickly.
DynAlign stands for dynamic.
Yes, dynamic pre-shot alignment, DynAlign. And, it goes back, it's related back to the waggle. You know, the waggle was used years and years ago, and it was very prevalent. And now you don't see waggling very much. And, you see Jason Duffner as a waggler, but I'm taking it even farther than that and saying this pre-shot routine in putting, it's not like a waggle, like you're waving the club over the ball, but it is that pre-shot motion to prepare. You know, what you see on tours nowadays, players will come up and they'll use their trail hand, they'll put the putter down meticulously on the line, and they'll step in and grip it. Well, they haven't really put enough torque into the system to stabilize the system, so they're putting from an unstable position.
Okay, I want to quote something from Ben Hogan. When you see a fine player making little individual movements of his feet or his knees or his shoulders as he settles into his stance, do not mistake these for empty gestures of nervousness. And they're not movements either that precede his arrival at a static, fixed position. What he's actually trying to do is to feel that everything he will be calling on in his swing is in balance and poised for action. That quote from Ben Hogan is at DynAlign.com. I think that's such a great quote because it really talks about getting everything, from the skeletal system all the way into position so that when you call upon the forces that you need, they're ready. But what I can't find is a place where I can learn how to do this. Where do I find the place where I can learn what you're trying to teach me?
Well, on my webpage or our website, there's a page there that has a video subscription, and for a month, it's a $10 fee, and there are several videos that you can watch that show in slow motion. It's from the player's view. It's just you're looking right down at your putter. I show you exactly all the steps to go through to learn this for putting, and there's also a chipping video on there. So it's on the page. It says "See DynAlign in action." There's video. There's a free video. You can watch Steve Elkington using this in it was a PGA Tour in a charity event, which he won, and you can watch him doing it there. But then on this subscription page, you can really get into the detail. And I'm in the process of building a new studio here, and like Dr. Joe, I will have Skype lessons available coming up in the spring.
Excellent.
And I hate to see people suffer, especially on the greens. And this is not just club players. This is tournament players too. They're not taking full advantage of the stability that they could be gaining. And this is very low maintenance. It takes a little time to learn this, but it's like anything else. You have to get in your reps. Then it becomes second nature, and you think nothing about mechanics. You're just playing the game. So
so I found it. It's the DynAlign Golf, DynAlign Golf, DynAlignGolf.com. And you go down right below where it says no training aids required. There is a little new, and it's in red, and you click on that. Is that Steve Elkington I'm looking at in one picture?
Yes. Yes,
yeah, okay.
There's a picture of Elk there on the page there. You can just see in that picture the dynamic, even in a still picture, you can just see how well his dynamic motion is supported in his putting stroke.
Yeah, okay. So then you click on the new there, and you find, well, I've gotten out of it for some reason. My computer's been doing crazy things. But that's where you see the videos, where you can, $10, do you have a free 30-day trial period first?
I've got a lot of free videos in Secret in the Dirt, in the video vault in secretinthedirt.com. If you search for Craig Foster or DynAlign Golf, I've probably got, 20 or 30 free videos in there with me and with Steve Elkington. And if you dig, you can learn how to do this without paying a penny. So it takes a little digging. I'm not going to force feed this down anybody's throat, but if you're interested, you can find out how to do it. I just want to help people get better.
Excellent. I got it. That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Craig Foster.
Great talk to you. I hope you're feeling better soon, Danielle. Getting out there.
Wait a second. Both of us are in recovery mode here. How are you? I hope you are feeling much better, and that everything, you're going to keep me up to date on how everything is going with you, right?
Thank you. I'm rocking, so thank you very much.
Awesome. Fantastic. I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it.
Okay.
Thank you. Aloha, and we're going to come back.
Okay, aloha, Danielle.
Thank you very much. Aloha. And Garrett Johnston, he is on the road. I bet when he was Jason Day winning, we just got to talk to him because, Australian. Right after this. My name is Danielle Tucker, and this is the Golf Club.